When you hear the phrase soft as steel, what do you think of? While the word steel might conjure up images such as massive high-rise buildings, where does the soft part come in? And what exactly does this mean in our work and in our lives? Welcome to the Soft as Steel podcast with your host, Dennis Doran, featuring engaging conversations with a wide range of industry leaders around soft skills, how we practice love, inclusion, social justice, and compassionate leadership that's everlasting in the workplace. And now, here's Dennis Doran.
This episode of the Soft as Steel podcast may seem a little different at first glance. I've been privileged to have conversations with a wide range of thought leaders inside and outside the construction industry from around the globe. Today's guest found this podcast and reached out through his representatives to see if he was a fit for Soft as Steel. The answer would appear to be yes. Steve Griggs landscape design brings decades of experience and expertise to every design challenge. He combines formal training, an artist's sensibility, and a commitment to client satisfaction. His passion is contagious, and he will transform a homeowner's environment from ordinary to extraordinary. Steve's a bit of a celebrity, having been featured in numerous media outlets, including Forbes, Business Insider, and the Wall Street Journal. He's also made TV appearances on Bravo's Backyard Envy, The La La Land Coach, and Grant Cardone's Power Players. Steve's accolades extend beyond his design prowess. He is a two-time recipient of the Inc. 5000 Award, a testament to the rapid growth and impact of his business. His career journey is marked by recognition and milestones, and he can shed light on the path to driving a business toward excellence. Steve, welcome to the Soft as Steel podcast.
Dennis, glad to be here. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, well, you can never tell. I mean, we may have a different opinion here in about 30 minutes.
Let's give it a shot.
So again, and I'm going to put you on the spot in a sense to confirm at least one element of my introduction. So how did you come to now be appearing on the Soft as Steel podcast?
We have a podcast agency that searches out people like yourself to see what's a good fit. So I basically hand it off to them, and they're out searching for me, and they've done a very good job of getting us on several well-known podcasts.
So they found me, and they said, here's one that you might want to look at, and you took a look at it and said, okay, let's do it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then doggone it, we're going to continue on. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're here, man.
Again, just to kind of get a bit of a focus, I'm really interested in. We'll talk about the whys of your success. That's an important ingredient in great business people and great leaders. But I want to start with kind of where I come from, and I mentioned it in our pre-interview. I'm the guy in the construction industry that for the past good number of years, and most recently when I wrote a book in 2019 entitled the same as this podcast, Soft as Steel, I'm a guy that's noticed for a while that in our industry we don't necessarily do a great job of modeling and delivering great behavior towards other people, particularly the people that work for us. So it would be your crews that you send out to do the landscaping projects that you do. And so my interest then became to say, let's focus on the people part of the construction industry. And again, I do a lot of stuff in general construction and specialty trades, also with unionized construction. And so I know that, in the broader construction world, the apprenticeship experience is something which is an important part of the people coming in to the tools or the trade, just as it would be for the people that work on your crews. And that's where they learn their hard skills, what they do with their hands, if you will. But what we don't do generally is we don't teach them and demonstrate to them the importance of what I call soft skills, which are not really skills. They're a person's qualities, their attributes, their behaviors, really a manifestation of their personal values. That's what I call soft skills. And what we don't do is teach those very well. Particularly at the apprenticeship level, and even up through maturing careers. Obviously, when a person uses a word like passion to talk about their business, it's a good word. It's the right word. It really is an alternative to the word that I use quite often, and that is love. And Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett, two people that I'm sure you recognize. I know you're well read as well as being read about. They said that there are 4 words, that the only 4 words you need to remember that will provide you with the opportunity to enjoy success are these 4 words. Do what you love. Heart stop. 4 words. Very impactful, very straightforward. And I get a sense just from getting a glimpse of you on some of the media that I was able to look at, reading the words of your introduction, being reminded about your awards and recognitions, that you do what you love. Talk about that.
It really is about the people, man. Like this is a unique podcast because typically they're asking me, what about me? How do I do this? Without the team, it's nothing. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I grew up in a construction household. My father was a union contractor. He worked for the union for 50 years in Local 15 in New York City. And I seen him come home every night, dragging his ass, 5 kids, getting laid off when the construction industry was down, but he never missed work. And that was instilled in me early on, that the people that do that type of work, you just cannot imagine the dedication they have to do that every day, working outside in the cold. Like, it is hard work. Mm-hmm. And man, I give the hats off to the workers. Like, it's really the workers. Mm-hmm. Like, I just show up and point and bark orders all day, but I've worked with my hands, so I know I come from that side of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not some guy that just got out of school. Like, I've dug holes, I've worked machinery, like, I've done it all. So I think that's very important for people to get your hands dirty. So to see that it's really hard work. It really is. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. It's brutally hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'd argue that even it's let's call it maybe a scaled down version of construction. But the work that your crews do for you is hard work. And again, they're doing work with stone, with concrete. They're excavating. They're moving a lot of heavy objects. I mean, just some of those plants that you put into your designs by themselves weigh hundreds of pounds, and they have to be moved and properly placed. So you do hard work as a landscaper. It's not light duty.
No, it's construction. It's labor. Whether you're moving a rock, a stone, an air conditioning unit, it's physical work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your thoughts are terrific. You kind of ducked my question a little bit, so I'm going to come back to you again. And I'll offer you another set of phrases, which maybe we can talk a bit about. My mentor is a guy named Steve Farber. I talk about him on a number of my episodes because it's his body of work is something I relate to very strongly. In his first book, which was published 21 or 22 years ago, at the beginning of his career on his own, after he left the Tom Peters organization, another great leadership expert, he wrote in his first book the following. He says, "Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do." Do what you love in the service of people who love what you do. Is that something that resonates with you?
Absolutely.
Say more. Say why.
It's what I do. It's like, if I didn't have bills to pay, I would probably do this for free, right? Like, it's just, when we do residential landscapes and we do a swimming pool for somebody and the owner tells me he doesn't know how to swim. So after we put the pool in, he actually learned how to swim. I mean, that's great joy. And the teamwork and the team around it really, when we build it together, it's together. Is that more towards your question?
Yeah, it's good. Good. I'm interested in, again, some people just, they bristle in our industry at using the word love, and it's very intentional, both in terms of how I use it and how Farber and his body of work uses it, and it's simply, as I said, you use the word passion. I would say that that's, either one of those words mean in a big way the same thing. Because if you're passionate about something, as you are, then you put everything into it. You're out there. You're visioning the project before it starts with your customers. You're getting them all excited about this aspect of design, or which plant you've chosen and why, and all those things which you talk about so fluidly. But you do that because you love talking to your clients about what you're going to create for them. And again, I think the thing that's remarkable about your work is a lot of people have a hard time saying that, in terms of what they do, that they're just tradespeople or they're just contractors. But the folks that love what they do, that have passion for it as you do, and this really, that one word was a principal reason why I wanted to talk to you, was your choice of using that word to describe passion.
Let's go deeper then. Now you bring up passion. It's
all right, let's go deeper.
It's like, this is what I do. Like, this is, if I go to the nursery, let's make maybe this clear. If I go to the nursery on a spring day and all the plants just came in from California, and it is like a freaking candy store for me. I mean, I'm like a kid at Christmas. I don't know what else to say. Like, but there's the passion, and then there's I've been doing this 40 years, for the first 30 years, let's say, do what you love and the money will follow. But then, there's a certain point where it's like, you're also running a business too. So that's a whole nother side to this. Like, okay, I would lose money on jobs just because I wanted to add a few more plants to make it look right. I still do that. Like, it has to look a certain way. Like, I won't leave a job because my name is on it. Like, that's just what I do. Yeah.
So when you say this is what I do, I might argue that this is who you are. You are this guy that's been doing landscapes for 40 years, and literally just in the last several years, maybe up to a decade. You can modify my time frame, but you were just doing it because you loved it for all those years. And as you said earlier, I might even lose a little bit of money on a job because I needed another plant here, I needed something else there, I wanted to move, whatever it is, because you cared so deeply about how your customers felt about what you did for them. You created this beautiful place for them, and your reward. Again, with Steve Farber's thoughts, they love what you do. And now, and again, I've used the word with intention. Now you are a celebrity landscaper. You're not just a landscaper, but to you, the celebrity part is, maybe extra use of time and kind of that's pretty cool. But what you're all about is the love, the passion for every landscape that you turn over to your clients.
So it's really the law. Yeah. Like, I'm being humble about it. Like,
yeah, you are.
I don't know. I mean, I am the happiest with my shorts on and my freaking work boots on with plants.
Yeah.
There's not, and it's kind of obvious when I'm on the job site with the clients. And I would have to say, like, 99% of my clients were still friends many years, and most of my business, 95% of it, is definitely referral. Because I can tell how passionate I am about the job. It's not about the money on the job. It's not. But I have 2 kids in college I have to pay for, but it is about what I do. I'm like a artist, right? Where the canvas is the land. That's the closest analogy I can put it. Every job is a piece of artwork.
If I were to ask, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. If I were to ask, I would imagine you've got some folks, men and women, whatever, people that work for you, that have been with you for a long time. Is that true?
They've been with me 15 years. Some of the subcontractors I use have been with me 20 years. I'm not an easy guy to work for. Like, I'm not.
So you need some soft skills?
Not, yeah.
Yeah.
I need some, like, if I see a tag on a plant, it drives me crazy. If I see a cigarette butt in the bed, it drives me crazy. Like, the plants have to be positioned a certain way. Like it's weird. It's like there's a face of a plant. If you position the plant a certain way, I have to personally pick out all the plants that I put in all my jobs because each plant is different in its own way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so if I were to just think, any individual, any person that's worked for you for 15 or 20 years, if I were to ask them, what would you say are Steve's, how would you describe Steve? What do you think?
These guys call me a local gringo.
Crazy man.
Crazy man.
Right.
But they know I know my shit.
Yeah.
French, but they know you're not. They know I know. I've been doing this so long, like I know it because I've done it. Like I'm not some guy that just shows up from the office. I show up with the work boots. I can run the machine. I am in the trenches if I need to be, and you get a lot of respect for that.
Yes, you do. You do. You're the classic, but the from the past working owner. You're a small business.
I'm like a dying breed.
Yeah, well, we hope not anytime soon. But so you're not a large, 10, 20, $30 million business.
No, we do like 5 million,
and that's real money.
Yeah,
and if you're successful from a business standpoint, notice we haven't talked about the business stuff yet. How you talked about how you get your clients mostly through referrals, and that's a really positive thing. How you keep your clients. And the greatest reward for great work is referrals and additional work opportunities. So I imagine you've been back to some of your longstanding designs and doing refresh work, replanning, maybe changing some aspect of design, and all just part of continuing to serve your customers.
It's some clients have moved. They have summer homes. I've done their houses. I've done the rest of their families, brothers, sisters, cousins. It's really just keeping that positive attitude. Like, I guess if someone's going to say, what about me is like, I do what I say, what I'm going to do, when I say I'm going to do, no excuses, nothing. And I just learned that from my father doing the union construction in New York City where it's cold, snowing, whatever it takes, you have to get that job done on time, on budget. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel like you're pretty clear about that to the people that work for you.
Very crystal clear.
Yeah. So, one could argue that either folks have stayed with you for 15 to 20 years because they had no place else to go, which is an extreme, one extreme, or they stayed with this guy who self-describes as being, hard to work for, because you may be hard to work for, but they understand who you are. They understand what you expect. And in general terms, they meet those expectations so that you don't have to be a loud, vocal hard ass all the time. Sometimes you can just be satisfied, and maybe are the words "great job" or "you did a great job on this" or "thanks for working extra hard" or you really just those kind of words. Are those in your vocabulary for the people that work for you?
You got to keep building them up. Listen, if I'm going to come to a job site and I'm going to rip into somebody, I'm bringing a box of Joe and Dunkin' Donuts, right? You know what I'm saying? So you have to give them a little. You have to beat the dog and pet the dog, right? So it's. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's kind of I'm from New York, so
I know you are. Yeah,
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to say you guys messed up here. Here's your coffee and donuts, and let's talk about it.
Right.
So you kind of get that respect. You have to treat people. If you're constantly coming and screaming and yelling, and they're not going to respect you. They're not going to respect you. They're not going to do a good job for you. So they always get the most out of them.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe they like me. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, again, I think I might make the point that they certainly, based on how you describe your style of communication, your style of managing and leading, because again, when you talk about even in a tough situation where you got something you need to bust somebody's chops about, those kinds of things, along with great job and this looks great, those kinds of words, those are all part of the vocabulary of a leader. Because you do lead. You have a small company. You don't have 200 people. So you're in a very personal way. Your leadership style is based in how you were brought up, where you come from. Again, so as soon as somebody starts listening to this podcast, they're going to say, "Oh, that guy's definitely from New York," so which is fine. It is.
Mississippi. I went to school in Mississippi, so I do have some of that southern.
Right. Yeah, nice try, Steve. Yeah, that's good. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve is really a Southern gentleman.
Yeah.
He just sounds like he's from New York. But I think my point is that one of the reasons you've been recognized, one of the reasons you stepped out and maybe initially was outside your comfort zone, the idea of going on a TV show or sitting across the table from Grant Cardone, who's got quite a style of his own in terms of interviewing people. It's almost like he was interviewing you and interviewing himself was kind of the way it felt to me, but that's okay. But, those things don't come from a person who doesn't demonstrate not simply the quality of what they do as their business, but the kind of person that they are. You would not be a very interesting person if you couldn't talk about how you provide leadership, how you motivate, and maybe in some days have to inspire your people to do just a little bit more because this owner is going to be back tomorrow. And we thought we had 2 or 3 days to wrap this up and get out of here, but we only got a day. So guys, we got to figure out how we get it done in a day. And you don't do it by just barking at them and kicking them in the ass. You have to do it by motivating them with encouraging words, which again is part of who you need to be. Are you comfortable with that description of what leadership is to you?
Absolutely. Whatever it takes. Like if I have to jump on the machine or grab a shovel, I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. If we got to stay late, I'm ordering dinner.
Yeah. That's. And that's that's the example of the idea there is that in construction, one of the principal ways that a leader demonstrates what their personal values are is simply to say that they are what they are as a leader because they lead by example.
Yes.
So what they say is one thing. And there is, as you get into the broader construction industry, there are a lot of people that are either titled as being part of leadership, is one phrase you hear, is the organization's leader. You hear about the term leadership used in a lot of different ways, but there are more people. Again, the words of my mentor Steve Farber, there are a lot of folks out there that are posers. They're not really leaders because they don't put themselves on the line. They're not in the middle of what's going on. You are literally, with your feet in the trench, literally, probably at times, picking up a shovel or repositioning or turning a plant, all those kinds of things. Those are all, that's leading by example, every bit of that. And I'm sure that's been the glue that's kept you and your longstanding employees together.
Yeah, that's, again, I kind of downplay it, but I think that's, one example we had recently was a 8-foot wall fell down in somebody's backyard. A storm came, flooded the guy's house, flooded his pool. And I looked in the owner in the eye and I says, I got you. I'm going to make this right. I'm going to take care of it. I took a bunch of money out of my pocket and I cleaned the pool and I fixed it all up. And, that means a lot to an owner, to the guys, like, whatever it takes, we got it done. You have to, nobody wants to hear excuses.
Right.
Especially in New York, like nobody cares about it. Nobody. They don't want to hear about your dog, at your homework. Really, I'm serious. Like, just they don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So, you're an entrepreneur, small business person, some of both. You've been in business for a long time. So, but you take it. At least it appears. And I think this in part is because of some of the other things that you do, where you are the subject, or you are the source of information and experience, or you are the expert when you're visiting and appearing in things like Forbes and Business Insider, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're doing all those things, those are what separates you a bit from other entrepreneurs and small business Because again, at your size of revenue, you're still, well, definitionally in some places, some public sector places where you probably don't do much work directly, but you're defined by a revenue number, as being a small business or a large business. But you're definitely entrepreneurial in terms of your style, your behaviors. Again, these other elements of what your public image is. I would say that I would put you in the entrepreneurial category. Does it feel that way to you?
No, but you bring it up. I really like the way you're interviewing the questions that you're bringing up. You make me think of things that I haven't really thought about, right? There's a lot of people that just do the work part. They just do the work and they just in the work. But it's more about that. It's becoming a leader. It's putting yourself out there, being on these podcasts I'm not comfortable with. It's all new to me, right? But I think it's very important as a leader to kind of, bring it forward, like there's some young guys that just don't know. And I'm starting to see that now where, wow, I do have a lot to offer just from my experience. And I could help other people.
Mm-hmm. You do. Again, that's why you're here for my special little audience of people that are in the let's call it the mainline construction industry. Although I do a lot, one of my largest clients is in the finishing trades. So I deal with those market segments as well. But the challenge we have, and that's why you're a good example and an example to notice and applaud. The challenge always is to remember, and I think that you probably have this implicitly in your thought process. If you do the kinds of things the way you expressed it in terms of how you approach your business, the operational aspects of your business day to day, boots on the ground, if you will. If you approach it in the way that you describe, and you recognize the importance of valuing each and every one of your customers and the relationship you have with them. I haven't used that term yet, but let me broach that element. One of the things that I talk about when I talk about the importance of soft skills, which you clearly demonstrate a variety of soft skills in your words and how you talk about your business. But one of the things I remind people is that soft skills are the difference maker. You could be the most recognized, applauded, highest compensated landscape architect in the world. But if the afterthought about Steve Griggs is the guy is just a total, excuse my French, it's not someone you want to do business with or deal with. At some point in time, there's going to be a consequence. But if you recognize the importance of how you are when you're dealing with your customers, and this is your words and your actions, again, what they see is what they get. If you're mindful of that, and again, from our conversation to this point, I think you are. If you're mindful of that, then the consequence will be that you will have a continuing expansion of relationships with customers and others, vendors, suppliers, subcontractors, that will help you be successful in producing the bottom line of your business, not by focusing on the numbers, but by focusing on how we interact with each other, with the focus being the end game, which is serving the customer in a manner that they are pleased with. So they want to tell what a great job that Steve Griggs Design did. They want to be able to tell other people, and you continue relationships over time, and longstanding relationships are the absolute foundation of success in business. Would you agree?
I think you summed everything up. That's how I built my business. Just what you said. Like, if I was a jerk, they wouldn't work for me. Like, the guys wouldn't produce for me. The clients wouldn't refer you. Like, it just goes on and on. So I think you can be the most talented person in the world, but if you're just a jerk and you don't treat people right and all that, it means zero.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of them. I'm sure you do too.
Oh yeah. Most of them are in New York. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, I couldn't help that.
But it's true. It's like
my family's in Monmouth County in Jersey by the shore.
Okay, so
yeah. So I got a little bit. My one of my uncles was a building superintendent in one of the high rises in the Bronx back in the day, Fordham Hills. Long, 50 years ago. So I remember walking to his apartment, which was down in the bowels of one of those towers, You had to walk past all the boilers and all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly you're in this apartment that had no windows. But it was, it was a comfortable place. And, my parents would drag me there so they could play penny ante poker.
There you go.
Those were the days. But, so I guess the last thing I want to just explore with you a little bit is it's just as a leader. So you put your leader hat on, you're and more specifically a thought leader. What's your view of how society is dealing with some of the challenges that we're facing today? How do you feel about, again, it's not a political question per se, but just, again, you're dealing, a lot of your customers are folks that are high net worth individuals. And because you build some incredible designs. So, I couldn't afford it, although I'd love to have you come down here and landscape my place, or my girlfriend's place, I should say. It's her house, not my house, which is fine. I live here rent free. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And let me qualify that. I don't live here rent free, but I live here. So, because again, how things are going on in our world, whether it's just the United States and where you do most of your work, or it's the bigger world, there are a lot of crazy things going on that affect, every aspect of how we view our own existence, how we view our business. So in the context of, again, from being a thought or thoughtful leader, from the vantage point of being a business person, how do things look to you for the bigger picture as well as for your business?
Don't watch a lot of news. I don't know. I don't know if I really understand the question, but it's just the way I was brought up. It's like, I think people can make excuses. They get soft and they just can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just gotta, they just make excuses and blame people, and like, they just point the finger. It's not me, it's them. It's like, man, take ownership. Take ownership. Mm-hmm. Take care of your side of the street, right? Like, take care of what you can take care of, and everything else will work out. Like, control what you can control, and then everything else is just gonna, work itself out. Mm-hmm. But treat people like you'd want to be treated. You hear all the time, treat people like you want to be treated. Just do the right thing, man. Like, just say what you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it. Your word is your bond. Like, I grew up like shaking hands, have a deal with somebody. That's the deal. Like, That is it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need a union 800-page contract. I've signed those two, and I got burned on those two working in the city. Yeah. Just it's a people business. Construction is people business.
You probably don't even realize what a great, all-encompassing answer you gave to my question. I couldn't have written that better. And so if you're surprising yourself,
I am kind of surprised. What part?
All of it. It just, each of the ingredients. Even when you talked about just control what you can control. A lot of people just have this sense of reality, which is not real, and that and also take responsibility. Don't blame others. Take care of your side of the street. That way of describing, what you see is on target, is sensible, and if more leaders help people see things that way, we probably wouldn't be trying to get into everybody else's, and causing difficulties that don't need to be there if we just, accept people for what they are. And if they're good people, we'll learn that with experience. If they're not, then we'll learn not to experience them.
If they're a good person in the first 5,
Yeah.
By your actions. Your actions speak volumes, right? Like,
absolutely.
Don't tell me how great you are. Just show me.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, this has been quite a conversation.
Dennis, you're very deep, man. I liked it. I liked your style. It was good. I didn't understand what soft and steel really meant. Like, I didn't understand it, but
it's
steel is very hard and cold, and construction is, but there is a softer side of it. There's very softer side of it. I think it's more softer side than actual doing the work.
You know what? Because I also say in my book and when I speak, I also say the soft skills are the hardest to learn, because the first thing you have to learn with regards to soft skills is what yours are. And looking in the mirror for a lot of people, honestly, and saying, well, here's some things I think are things that I can work with. Here are things that are causing me problems. They kind of have a hard time looking at this problems list over here. And so that's the challenge. And the idea of soft as steel came from the analogy of what steel is to structures and buildings. The element that makes them something that will last for a long time. Your soft skills and yours are great. And they were on display in this conversation, which I think is wonderful. Your soft skills are what are the necessary ingredients to help you build and maintain long-standing relationships.
Do you find it harder to, like anybody can, hang drywall or whatever? Take that. That's pretty much cut and dry. I think the soft skills are like very hard to teach, right? Like, you find it, like, how do you teach somebody? Like,
well, you can't. What you can't per se teach someone soft skills. What you teach them is how to learn and understand what they are, so they can know that I am a patient person, that I am direct. That I am, hardworking, which obviously in our industry is important. Those are those soft skills or qualities. What we teach folks is how to go about gaining an understanding of themselves, and we also teach them the absolutely overarching value of every day, recognizing that I need to use every day to work on how I communicate with people. Communication skills are the core competence that every person, and certainly every leader, needs to continually work on to get better at it, so that the messaging is clearer, so that when you want to try to motivate somebody, you don't inadvertently demotivate them. Just learning how to use, communication as a skill. And most importantly, for a lot of people, focusing on and learning how important listening is as a skill. So,
good stuff, man.
Steve Griggs.
Very hard. I have impatience. I'm very impatient. Yeah, the skill part is, everybody can use the communication and the skill part.
Yeah, I'll work with you. I'll work with you. Steve, thank you so much for coming on the Soft as Steel podcast, my friend.
Thank you, Dennis.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Soft as Steel podcast with your host, Dennis Doran. Dennis is the author of Soft as Steel and a leading speaker and trainer for organizations across many industries and verticals. To learn more about the work Dennis is doing to activate soft skills in the workplace, contact him at DennisDuranSpeaking.com. Be sure to check out his book, Soft as Steel, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or wherever you'd like to get your podcasts. And please remember to share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you feel would benefit from the conversation. We'll see you next time on the Soft as Steel podcast with Dennis Doran.
Produced by Audivita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.